Alright guys, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 8 today, and today a bunch of stuff was jumping out at me, but I thought maybe the best way to do it was to just go through the book. So I'm going to read kind of quickly and then just add a couple notes as we're going through. But he says, "All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers." So once again, the commandments are so that they can go in and possess the land and live in peace and safety and so on and so forth. There's no mention here of keeping the commandments being reference to salvation. "And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no." Notice here that he tells them that the whole reason why he led them through the wilderness, the whole reason why he took them through this for the last 40 years was to humble them, to prove them, which means to test them, and not to prove to God, but to prove to themselves, to reveal to themselves what was in their hearts, whether or not they were truly in love with God and faithful to him, or whether or not they were just using God as a means to get what it is that they want. So he tells them that this was the purpose of going through the wilderness. And this is the purpose of our Christian life too. The temptations, the trials, the struggles. These are the things that we deal with. And this is why we go through these things. In verse 3 he says, "And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he may make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live." And this is actually re-quoted by Jesus in Luke chapter 4. But basically he tells them the reason why you went through hunger, the reason why you were fed with manna, was to form a dependence on God. And oftentimes we kind of look at the circumstances in our lives and we say, okay, well, this is hard, and what am I doing wrong? God is punishing me. And maybe that's not it at all. Maybe that circumstance is created so that he will draw you into a dependence on him, a daily dependence, because that's what faith is. Faith is not a one-time thing where you're forgiven for your sins. Faith is a manner of life. I trust God for everything, including my salvation. Verse 4, "Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years." So notice the clothes didn't wear out, and your feet didn't even get sore or swollen, despite the fact that you're walking around for 40 years. "Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee." So again, the trials and the troubles that they were going through and the discipline that they received of the Lord, this was a father disciplining his son. The 40 years was not a punishment in the sense of, it was a period of time of testing and trials, but it was not cutting the people off. It was God disciplining his children the same way a father would discipline his. So, "Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to fear him. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into the good land, a land of brooks of water, and fountains, and depths that springs out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil and olive and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness, thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig brass. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day." So he tells them, I'm going to bring you into this land, and all of those things that you did without for the 40 years, all of those things you're not going to have to worry about anymore. I'm going to provide you food. I'm going to provide you water. I'm going to provide you materials. The land itself is rich in minerals. It's got resources that you can utilize. But I'm going to take care of you. But he gives them a warning. He says, be careful, beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in keeping his commandments. He tells them, don't forget, in the midst of all this blessing, don't forget where you got the blessing from. And this is something that we and the Israelites have a real problem in doing, is getting sidetracked and getting our focus on the blessing and not on God. And he tells them in verse 12, lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thine heart is lifted up. So then you're going to get lifted up, and you're going to get off track. Then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So those are the first 14 verses, and in particular I want you to focus on verses 12 through 14 and think about that in reference to, I think I did another passage before on Proverbs 30. It's one of my favorite passages, Proverbs 30 verse 7 through 9, and it says, two things I request of you. This is Solomon praying to the Lord. Two things I request of you, deprive me not before I die. Remove falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food allotted to me, lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of the Lord thy God. So here in the Proverbs and also here in Deuteronomy, you see the heart of the individual. In Deuteronomy, it's God telling them, don't get sidetracked on the blessings and get off track of me. You need me, not the blessings. The blessings are something that I'm giving to you out of my grace and my mercy because I love you and I want to take care of you. But the heart of the recipient is revealed in Proverbs 30, where he says, Lord, don't give me too much because I know I'm susceptible to getting drawn away. But don't give me too little that I take your name in vain and be forced to steal. So this is the heart of the true believer. It's not one who is seeking after money. It's not one who is seeking after these things and God merely becomes a means to get them. It is the individual who is willing to part with it all for the sake of Christ. I want my relationship with Christ more than I want anything else. And Lord, if you bless me, great. But Lord, I actually have a fear inside me that if you bless me too much, I'm going to get drawn away. So I ask that you not bless me beyond that which I can bear. So something to think about, something to for each of us to kind of reflect on. And you guys, God bless.